Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Rukia Mohamed and I'm a therapist, a psychological counselor. And first and foremost, let me wish you a good Ramadan, inshallah. May Allah make it a Ramadan that will be beneficial, and inshallah we reap all the benefits that are within the month of Ramadan. So if you recall, in the last Ramadan we talked about behavior change, and this is a sort of a continuation of what we talked about, or sort of related, because we are going to talk about withdrawal symptoms in so far as addiction is concerned. Of course, when we talk of addiction, we are looking at substance, drugs and substance, and also behavior addictions, such as internet addiction, pornography, and all that kind of addiction. Our general topic is going to be withdrawal symptoms, but we will mention a few things related to addiction and a few terms that we need to know about addiction, just to bring us on board insofar as this topic that we are discussing is concerned. I've heard many people say during Ramadan you'll see someone who smokes or someone who takes miraa, mirungi. They'll fast the whole day, but after they break their fast, they take the miraa, or they take the puffs of cigarette and all that. So why is it that they are able to fast during the day, and then after Ramadan they go back to their habits? So I'm looking forward to us discussing a few things about understanding the withdrawal symptoms and addiction, so that we can understand what happens to these people who are recovering or are addicted, so that we can help them better as families or as friends. So first and foremost, we cannot talk about withdrawal syndromes or withdrawal symptoms if we don't talk about detoxification, and also before we understand maybe the effects of drugs and substance abuse, and maybe at what point do people get addicted from abuse. So let's start with what is substance abuse, just briefly. So substance abuse starts with the use of substances. It could be normal legal medication, using it the wrong way, either overdosing or using it without prescription. Then we have also the issue of maybe abuse of other issues that could bring about addiction in later stages. Like, for example, someone starts with internet addiction by overusing the internet, and to the extent that now they get to a point whereby they cannot survive without the internet. They're always there. Some maybe watching pornography. They just start maybe with one movie, and then they find themselves sinking deep into that. So most of the times, at times you find that maybe addiction starts for one reason or another. We will look at that at some point. You find some people get into addiction because of experimentation, maybe through peer pressure, and others because of issues they are going through. Maybe they are having trauma and all that, because at times when you ask someone, are you using a substance, or is there a behavior that you have, or a substance that you are using that you know it is bad, but you are still using it despite the damage or the negative effect it has on you? Then at that point we say this person has now graduated into addiction. So what happens when we talk of addiction is that after the abuse, the wrong use of the substance, or the gradual growth of a certain kind of behavior, the brain gets to a point whereby they, for example, if we are talking of alcohol, so you find that when someone starts abusing, they do like maybe 1 bottle of alcohol, and then over time the brain becomes tolerant. So when I say the brain becomes tolerant, it means the brain now gets used to that 1 bottle of alcohol, that 1 bunch of miraa, that 1 hour of staying on the internet, you know. So it gets used to it to the extent now that it does not, the brain does not, or the body does not get the pleasure that it initially got when you were taking that 1 bottle. Okay, so that means now someone gets to taking 2 in order to get the excitement or the high, the rush that people get when they are using these drugs. So when we get to that point, now the body becomes dependent on the drugs or the behavior or the alcohol, and then now they increase the quantity that they were using, they increase the amount of alcohol, they increase the time that they were using on the internet, they increase the frequency of watching pornography, for example. So you find that now as that increases, then also the body keeps on asking for more. So gradually you find that someone cannot survive with that drug of abuse or substance or that behavior. So then we say that this person has gone into addiction. All right, so when they get into that addiction, we call it a disease because it affects the brain, it affects the body, and you find that someone cannot be able to just snap out of it without help. All right, and the fact that it has affected the body. Remember, when people are taking these drugs or substances, or they indulge in a certain behavior, there is what we call like the reward system of the body that is affected, because the body in itself has been shaped by Allah in a way that the body has a way to know, I'm now feeling hungry, I am excited because of 1, 2, 3. Okay, so when you use these substances, it sort of accelerates, inaharakisha ile sensation ya furaha, for example, kwa mwili ya mtu. So you find that what happens is that you are like pumping yourself with some external chemicals to do the work that the body itself, already the way Allah had created it, has a way of bringing those functions. All right, so when you use these substances or like behaviors of addiction, they speed up. So the brain is pumped with a lot of chemicals from the drugs, and the behavior also sort of excites some hormones within the brain. Okay, so that I think studies have shown that people who are addicted to drugs and substance, their brain shrinks. If you look at their brains compared to someone else who does not use drugs, a normal person, you'll find that their brain has shrunk a bit. So it affects like their short-term memory. Here we say if it's short-term memory, is like the memory people used to even remember like phone number, or at times you are talking to someone and you see it's as if they are not coordinating, ni kama haelewi hayuko hapo, then anakumbuka after some time, or like hata hakumbuki. You know, you've ever maybe seen such scenarios. So it affects that even reasoning, because once maybe communication ama some information gets into, maybe through a conversation or something, you find that people have to process that information before maybe it is stored, if it needs to be stored. So you find that mtu hana hiyo, like ina affect the way or the ability or the level of their processing of information, the way they would control themselves. So you find these effects make this person be in a way it's as if they are sick. So we call it a disease because the chemical makeup of the body and the brain has been affected and changed in a way. Okay, so some other effects of drugs and substance, you find that people would even steal in order to be able to continue with their habit of that. Some people would even maybe fight with family, relationships break. Okay, so all these things, all these effects, effects of drugs and substance, so that even when we are now talking of the recovery and we are looking at the withdrawal symptoms, then we can understand why it is that someone might not necessarily recover from the addiction just like that in a flash, and they need help and they need to be maybe supported in order to be able to heal from that. Then another effect is, for example, the possibility that someone can get also medical conditions. Someone can be infected with HIV. Some people use needles to inject themselves those drugs. Apart from even that behavior of you sharing needles and all that, there is the fact that when your brain is subjected to the substance of abuse, there is the recklessness that comes in. So you find that people might have reckless sexual relationships or other kind of behaviors that would put them at risk. So you find that this person who is going through addiction is not only going through mental issues but also physical, and medically they are also exposed to, let's say they are vulnerable to so many other issues. Okay, so up to there we are going to end this first session, and we are going to next time look at now what are these withdrawal symptoms that people get, and why is it that we ask ourselves, kwa nini fulani kisha funga anafunga alafu ikifika saa kufuturu yeye yuko hapo na jaba yake, you get it? So let's meet again in the next session. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.